picket fence places.
Okay, we're up.
They are. I mean, they asked me to be a volunteer because there was a
Hi,
husky there.
guys. Hi, everyone.
I want to marry this guy. I stand him up. He's my height, and he went after me the way your dogs go after
Wow,
me.
that's cute.
There's a little shepherd there that I have my eye on. We'll see.
Huh, huh.
But it was just a beautiful, beautiful place. And they do a lot of work with dogs from China, although they're having problems now with the COVID.
Huh.
Wow.
But so that's my. So they asked me to be a volunteer
Okay,
Wow.
when I'm well.
Great.
I was very honest with them. When I'm well, they asked me to be a volunteer because I was so good with the doggies.
there.
Which
Great.
gave me something.
That's great.
And
Yeah, there we go.
I'm just really tired. I mean, you look
Hold on.
adorable.
Isn't
You
Elaine
look like
cute?
you're
you.
12.
Elaine's
Thank
cute.
you. Thank you. I'm when it comes to my hair, I'm not inept. I'm not only inept, I'm very lazy.
Uh-huh.
And so there you go.
There you
So I
go.
did a pixie cut. So
There's
Okay.
a puppy. I see a puppy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
there's
dogs.
two
I'm
of them.
so dying for one.
Yeah, well, you know.
So we'll see.
We'll sort it out.
We'll talk later.
We'll
I
talk
don't want to
later.
use this
Yes.
time.
Okay.
Yes. Okay,
But
great.
it was an interesting day. I mean, I walked. I went to Ross.
Uh-huh.
My Hollywood Hands is on Sherwood, right, like diagonally opposite the Cedars Towers.
That's so noisy.
So
What
I
is that?
walked to La Cienega, went to Ross, and then I went to La Jolla. I walked all the way there and all the way back.
Huh.
Okay. Well, next time.
That's a big deal. It's the first time, Mark. It's the first time I was out without an attendant.
Ah, okay. Well,
I
that's
just
great.
used my shopping card as a brace.
Cool. Well,
I'm
great.
going to do more of
for you.
that. I'm going to go
Mazel
to the
tov.
store tomorrow. I want to,
You're a tough lady.
Terrific.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm getting there. I'm gonna. I even the guys at the Hollywood Hand said, "You're a month ahead of yourself."
Yes.
Because I've been sitting and doing it.
That's great.
Hell.
That's great.
But I'm doing it. So this weekend,
Congratulations.
all I'm gonna do is write and
Okay.
catch up.
Great.
Hey,
You know,
good job.
catch it up.
Good job.
Okay.
And like that. So
Okay.
life is moving on, and I'm really thrilled. I wish I were better with the cane.
Uh-huh.
But the sidewalks are so up and down. They're really not supportive.
Wow.
Even to
Yeah.
walk without anything
Huh.
before. So
Well, long live tree roots.
beg
Yes.
your pardon?
Long live tree roots.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Really?
And earthquakes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
But this place, we'll talk about it.
We'll talk, okay.
It's
I
just
absolutely shall.
darling.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Great.
Great. Well,
That's
cool.
all I have to say.
Okay.
Thanks for
That's all.
coming.
Go for
I've
it.
just been working on my health of the dogs,
Okay,
Good
great.
for
which
you.
is the
Yeah.
same thing.
Okay, yay, 3
Yay.
cheers. Great. Good to see you, Judith, as always.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good
So-
to see you both.
So do we have any Mr. Sci-Fi questions yet, Adam?
Let's see. No questions yet, but people are coming on saying hello.
Hello,
Well,
guys.
hello.
Got,
guys.
Jeff Paye and
Great.
Scott Baker, Mark Lungo.
Great. The crowd.
Yep.
The regular
Scott
guys.
Campbell, yes.
Great. That's great.
The regular crowd, and
Yes.
looks like maybe a couple new people.
That's good.
Hey.
That's
Yeah.
good. Okay, cool.
Hey, welcome.
So great. Well, Adam, why don't we take your turn since you're at the top of my screen?
Sure, we can do that.
That sounds great.
Hi, everyone. My name's Adam Sartain. I am an actor, as it says on my shirt.
Oh, goody.
Also a voice actor with over 78 different voices, accents, and impressions.
Great.
And I am an associate producer on Space,
Yay. 3 cheers.
which recently I've been doing some real associate producer work.
Yay.
Yeah.
Great. That's
Yeah.
great. Earning it.
Getting ready for upcoming shoots.
Yes.
That's great.
And coordinating background actors.
That's great.
So that's a lot of fun. I'm having a blast with that.
That's
Great.
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 Yeah,
It is
getting
fun.
those, getting headshots and measurements to you, Elaine.
Thank
Mm-hmm.
you. I appreciate it. Much appreciated. That's a lot of work.
Mhm.
Yeah. In voiceover news, I had 2 different things come across my desk today, as
Wow.
as is the phrase.
Huh.
One for a finance news channel.
Mhm.
It should be like a regular,
Connected.
like
Mhm.
contributor.
Hmm.
And another for promos for an animal show.
Hmm.
So I have a friend who's a producer on like a reality TV producer.
Wow.
So
That's great.
They whenever they have voiceover needs, they send stuff my way.
Hmm. That's great.
Okay,
So
great.
if either of those gets picked up, or I get hired for either one of those, looks good.
Great.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, keep us informed. It's
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I'll keep you guys. I'll let you guys know if anything comes of it.
That'll be great.
Yeah. And of course, I'm continuing my podcast. I decided to take a break this week in honor of, because my podcast normally comes out every Monday. I took a break this week in honor of Martin Luther King Day, and
Sure.
totally not because I forgot to edit the next episode.
Of course not.
Definitely, it was definitely in honor of the holiday.
Yes. Great.
But I've got two episodes in the can, and always looking for more guests.
That's great.
On the show. So
that's cool. That's cool. Have you reached out to Mark Evanier by any chance? Do you know who that is?
No, I do, and I don't know. I don't have his contact info. I don't think.
Email me later, and I can connect you guys up. But he's a really interesting guy. Very, very interesting guy.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Cool. Great.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Good for you. Yay.
Okay. Yay, Adam. So do we have a Mr. Sci-Fi question yet?
Yes, we do.
Great.
The first question is from Scott Baker.
Yay. Hi, Scott.
Which is, which sci-fi stories cover the ethical issues of mass surveillance the best?
1984. I mean, that's the granddad of all of it. Let me think. Beyond that, one could say Fahrenheit 451 in a certain way.
How about the pre-crime picture?
Well, Minority Report, of course.
Minority
Yes. But everything really kind of stems from 1984, because that really was the book that said, your TV is watching you, and so forth. So that was terrific.
Chronos, is that the computer one? Chronos, Logan's Run?
Well, yeah, sort of, but
the Forbin Project. That's what.
Yeah, Colossus, the Forbin Project. Yes, but that's some of it. So let's see. So I guess Thane, you're on screen. Why don't you take your turn? Go for it.
Good evening. Thane Allison's SAG-AFTRA character actor.
Great.
I've had 2 self-tape auditions this week.
Oh, great.
I'm kind of getting that down. I had a conversation this afternoon with another actress friend of mine who was had a breakthrough on how to do something on her iPad and make the task easier. Essentially, you need a production studio and all the bodies that go with that in order to do a job that is credible with those who want to look at them. So it's been a learning curve.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a leg problem for the last 6-8 months, to the point where it was really interrupting my daily routine activities. And I finally got some relief. And
Good.
tell you, just the change in attitude from getting out from under that pain is
Good.
I've been so much more productive the last 3 days than I had in the last month. So that's the good news, which also means that I could actually walk around on stage if I got one of these.
That's great. That's great.
I don't know if we got a permanent fix, but at least got some current relief.
Good.
And starting to see some things rattle loose. There was good news yesterday, the comparison of last year with the year before, although we're still way behind what we were 2019. But I think there's building some optimism and enthusiasm in the business to get back to work. And, I just know a lot of people that are really starting to hurt. And,
yes.
a curious thing that we're seeing over and over again is casting directors are asking, where are you physically at the moment?
Huh.
And they've never asked that. They assume if you submit from Los Angeles, you're in Los
You're a
Angeles.
local hire. Huh.
But what's happening is people are scattering to the wind,
Yes.
and they think they can fly in on moment's notice
And you can't.
for a callback
Huh.
or for an early call or whatever.
Yes.
And people are not showing up,
Hmm.
not necessarily on purpose, but things happen. And
Yes.
so they're actually wanting to know where on this side of the planet are you?
Huh.
Or are you on this side of the planet? So that was a little disturbing to my manager, who doesn't like to have people disclosing, personal information like where
Huh.
you're
Where you're at.
writing in from.
Uh-huh. Huh.
But at any rate, after explaining, she said, "Well, I guess that makes sense." So
Yeah.
you see that on more and more auditions. Indicate exactly where you are. The change in protocols. So
Huh.
anyway,
Okay.
going forward, I got a big boost in coming to a solution for I've had 4 endings to my one-man show that I couldn't quite suss out where it should wind up.
Uh-huh.
And with the clarity that's come with clearing up this pain, I really feel like I've had a major breakthrough. I think
That's great.
Great.
That's
I'm
wonderful.
writing workshop on Saturday to see if it works. But I
Cool.
Great.
feel like I'm ready now for a table read and get feedback at the next level.
Great. Well, that's great. So anything you need beyond that, Thane?
Just keep on staying busy and staying creative, and hoping my friends are doing the same.
Cool. Cool. Well, 3 cheers. Yay. Good to see you as always. So, Adam, is there a Mr. Sci-Fi question?
Yes. Our next question is from Jeff Paye. I hope I said that
Hey,
right.
Jeff.
And he wants to know how many episodes are available as of now.
Of Space Command?
I'm assuming Space Command.
Yes. Yes. There's the first hour is on Mr. Sci-Fi. The bonus 2-hour episode Ripple Effect is on Mr. Sci-Fi. The radio play, I believe the audio play, United Planet, is on Mr. Sci-Fi. So there's about 4 hours of material, and also of course Grizzled Space Jockey, my reading of the short story about my character who appears in Space Command. So all of those are there on Mr. Sci-Fi. What we'll be doing in the near future, in a matter of weeks, we'll have the first 2 hours done and send them out as digital downloads to our backers and investors and so forth. And then we'll be making the Blu-rays and DVDs shortly upon that. After that, we have the extra features put together and all of that. And but we're ramping up. We've shot the 3rd hour, but haven't released it yet because it needs visual effects and other post-production. And we've started shooting the hour beyond that, which that's the 2nd hour of Forgiveness. These are structured in 2-hour stories that split down the middle. And so, a week from tomorrow, we'll be shooting, and they're building sets at the studio right now, and it's pretty exciting. A hospital on a space station. It's going to look really, really, really cool. And so that's where things stand. Ultimately, I think there'll be 14 hours. I think the first season is 14 hours, including the bonus episode. And our plan is to shoot all of that this year. And so far, so good. So, so that's that. There you go. So let's see who's next. Dave Edison, you're up.
Hello, friends. Hope the year is working out well for you.
Mm-hmm.
I am the aforementioned Dave Edison. I'm the editor of the aforementioned Space Command.
Yay!
And other things here and maybe there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been an interesting week of just tightening the nuts and bolts and attending to final details as we're getting towards that 2-hour pilot that will get to you. We'll get to you. It'll be before the summer solstice. You'll have it soon enough.
Jesus.
And moving along with that, Bill Mooney posted today on Facebook that it's been a year since Mira left us.
Wow.
Oh, yes.
Wow.
And so, I posted something to the effect of, we see her every day as we're working to finish the first 2 hours,
Mm-hmm.
with small consolation that we'll be able to share another performance
Yes.
soon.
Yes.
So anyway, moving along, other stuff going on. I'm trying to do something relaxing every day. So what did I pick? Rebuilding my website. Totally the wrong choice.
How fun.
But learning new software along the way, so I'll have that brushed up somewhat. It'll still be rather basic, but at least it'll be up to date sooner than later, but eventually.
Cool.
And that's about it. Well, looking forward to the shoot. That's next Friday. You say it's
Friday
Saturday?
Friday and Saturday because of Mossy's availability, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. The set is looking spectacular, so I'm very thrilled. And this seems to be working out.
We've been getting little photo shots of it.
Yes.
On the phone.
Yes.
Phone shots of it, but on the weekend when Andrea feels it's Saturday or Sunday when he feels he'd like to show us.
This Saturday or Sunday.
Saturday or Sunday.
When he wants to show us the set in person.
Yeah, and then we'll again keep. But they're working like I can't believe how much they build.
Yes.
In just a few days.
Yes, it's fun.
Good, and we're nailing down details about how to do practical effects on set in camera.
Yes.
So
yes.
So
Yes.
that'll be good. That'll be an interesting challenge. And here's something, by the way. I from time to time people post pictures. Mark, you've been posting some great photos of Elaine that you took years ago. Here's me.
Wow.
Oh my
Believe it or not,
gosh.
same guy.
Wow.
From
gosh.
my mid-'80s stand-up career.
Wow.
Oh my gosh! What a handsome guy.
Wow.
And then this guy over here.
Wow.
So it's like,
Wow.
yeah,
Those are great.
times change. Look what almost 40 years will do to a person.
Yeah, but the big difference, Dave, is that now you have color.
Barely.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Anyway, so stay well and be productive and talk soon.
Yay! Good work. So, is there a Mr. Sci-Fi question, Adam?
Yes. Our next question
Mhm.
is from Mark Lungo.
Mm.
And
Hi, Mark.
he wants to know if a pandemic happened in Space Command world,
Mhm.
How would the characters and society in general deal with it?
That's a very interesting question. It's easier to say how people will deal with it in Sweet Haven, which is the show we're creating with Rockney O'Bannon, because that deals with a pandemic.
But when we try and deal with social issues,
Yes.
we attempt to look at what is going on around us,
Mm.
and we try and reflect upon both positive and
Yes.
negative responses and examine them without
Though-
prejudice.
Though the world often informs us. I mean, I was very surprised that when we had a worldwide pandemic, all of humanity did not come together to battle it using the wisdom of science. And instead, everyone became factionalized and politicized and polarized, which does not bode well if we're ever invaded by aliens. It really doesn't. Every science fiction posits that a worldwide threat to the species would bring people together, but this is not what's happening. And so that was very instructive and alarming, of course, but so that will find its way into our work one way or another, I'm sure. I mean, I think the two most accurate predictive works of science fiction film are Idiocracy and Don't Look Up. I think those are the ones that really are predicting where we're headed. And so, unfortunately, but there you go. So, okay. So
should we check and see
what?
if anyone has to leave?
Now, is anyone either on the East Coast or have to leave early? I think we're okay. Looks good.
Okay, great.
So, Vic, why don't you take your turn? Go for it.
Hi, everyone. My name is Wei Chen, and this first I joined this table meeting.
Great.
And yes, I was invited by Jolene Croft.
Great.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah, she told me because I met her once our friend Christmas party.
Oh, good.
Oh,
And yeah, so we make friends, and I told her so like I'm full-time graphic designer,
Mm-hmm.
and
Great.
also I started building my own fashion line.
Oh,
because
great.
I like sewing.
Cool.
And yeah, I also like watching movies. She said, "Oh, maybe I can help you connection with some people." You
Yes.
know. So she was like, "Are you making the costume?" I said, "Yeah, I do a couple clients to make a puzzle costume." She said, "Oh, maybe you can do the movie costume one day." I said, "Yeah." So
That's fun.
why she sent me the link. So she said, like, come join the meeting.
Great.
Maybe you can find something interesting.
Well, that's
so,
great.
So, do you know how to
Yeah.
use LED lights
In costumes?
In costumes?
Yeah.
Do you know how to
That's
do
a very
that?
specific question, Elaine. Where
LED light.
LED lighting, it's a kind of light. It's okay. We'll get into this a little later. It's
Yeah.
just
Well,
a
we're looking for a
challenge that we have right
costumer.
now.
Looking for a costumer who can put together.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Oh, okay.
But we probably should contact some
Yeah.
Vegas costumers.
Yeah.
But the but welcome, Vic. And additionally, the table's been going for 29 years. Every Thursday, we have thousands of members all around the country. And once you come to one meeting in person, you can get onto the table email where you can send one email that goes out to everybody and get their emails as well. And as a result, it's a very powerful tool for getting whatever you need. And so I don't know if David Bartlett will be coming tonight. Probably not. He's out of town. But Adam can definitely be a conduit to help get you on the table email. So great.
Okay.
So anything else?
Wonderful.
Anything else you need, or any other questions you have?
No, just enjoy listening, everybody.
Okay, great.
Share the story.
Great.
Thank
Terrific. Yay! Free cheers.
you.
Great. So is there another Mr. And by the way, for those who are new tonight, I do a simulcast with the table meeting every Thursday night and my YouTube channel, Mr. Sci-Fi. And that's why we're asking if there are any Mr. Sci-Fi questions, because we're actually on 2 screens at the moment. So Adam, is there Mr. Yeah, go for it.
And I'm following along on my phone.
Wow.
And read off the comments.
Great.
Or
Great.
the questions within the comments.
Cool.
And speaking of questions, we have one from Gregory Krug.
Great. Hi, Greg.
He wants to know, are there any sci-fi stories that you know of that were done in the second person?
Oh, wow. It's very rare. It's not used. It's either the first or the third person. Usually, there was a comic book that did that, and what was the name of it? It was published by DC. And I've read a few novels like that, but it is very tricky. And but no titles spring to mind off the top of my head. So I'm not a big fan of the second person. So okay. So
Also,
yeah.
I should if Dave's not here, I should probably give the spiel.
David,
I
yeah.
won't give the full spiel, but I'll give a little bit.
Sure.
So I'll put his email in the chat. But David Bartlett is both producer of Space Command and also handles getting people on the table email.
Yes.
So what you need to have is an email address with just your name, and it can't be at Yahoo for some weird reason. But it can't be. It has to have your full name, your first and last name.
Yes.
And it can't be like Werewolf 69 or something like that. It has to be your name. Use that email and send an email to David's email, which is davefilms at hotmail.com. I'll put it in the chat. Davefilms, DAVEFILMS films at hotmail.com. He's out of town right now, so he might not get to it for a bit, but if you send it to him, that'll get things started.
Great.
And that'll get you on the table.
He's due back on Tuesday.
While you're at it, can you tell the story about the first film you made when you were 10?
Yeah.
No. My stories are long enough.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Right.
Great, great. I think Dave, we could all of us who are regulars could definitely recite that in unison, that whole origin story.
Yeah.
And so Jim Cameron and all that stuff. So okay, great.
Yeah.
So thank you. Is that so? I guess then the next on my screen is Alicia Kerr. If you want to take your turn.
Hi, I'm new and I got here a little bit late. I was invited by Delton.
Great.
That's my cousin down there.
Great.
Yep, I am a singer and I kind of dabble in like a lot of different things.
Cool.
But singing is mostly my avenue.
Okay, great.
Other questions I was answering.
Oh well. Go ahead, Lynn.
Oh well,
Please.
when you say singing, singing like in a club, or that you want to integrate it into a film, or what do you
What kind
see
of
for your-
singing?
yes, what kind of singing? What's the
Yes.
ambition?
Right now it's just sort of casual. I
Mhm.
play guitar and I write.
Great.
A little bit of folk music mostly.
Cool.
Or folk inspired, I guess.
Okay, that's great. Just to give you a little bit of a background, the table is it was Elaine and I started it 29 years ago. We started by meeting every Thursday at a restaurant until the pandemic, and then we went on Zoom. It's to create a compassionate community in Hollywood and the arts, and there are extensions. There are offshoot groups of the table all across the country, and we have an email aspect where you can use that to reach out to all several thousand members. And it's writers, directors, actors, composers, anyone in film, TV, or books, or by extension, the recording industry. And so we're basically here to be a support structure for each other, and there's no requirement to ever help anybody, but it's encouraged simply because it allows us to be helpful to each other to get stuff done. So that's it.
As a singer,
And there's no
if you-
dues or fees or any
there's
of
no
that.
fees. I mean, if you're putting together a production, you may or may not offer to pay, but nothing for the organization itself.
No.
But the good thing about the organization is if you can dip your toe in and say, if somebody would like a song accompanying their film, or if you need a singer within your film, of
Yes.
this type, and
Whatever.
or if you said you'd like some, if anybody's very successful in starting their music career online, now that they've come to realize that the powers that be are so corrupt that it's sometimes you can do better. So there are all kinds of different avenues where if you just reach out for free, you could get like advice and help, and at least see what your alternatives are now that you're building up a pile of work.
Yeah, I'm just here along for the ride.
Okay.
Okay, great. Well, welcome. 3 cheers. Yay. So is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question, Adam?
Let's see. Our next question is from Dustin Pinney,
Great.
who wants to know if you have any tips in writing space opera.
Yes. The one thing I would say is, the main rule of writing that I know of is be interesting. So if you write something that's boring or cliche or that you've seen a million times, it's not gonna work well because there's nothing fresh about it. There's nothing that's gonna grab the reader or the viewer. In terms of space opera, again, you want it to reflect what you believe, what you feel. You want it to reflect characters that you've known personally, not that they can be an alien or whatever, but you have to think of, okay, what's going to make this character distinctive. Too often in science fiction, they'll just put some little funny doohickey on the head or something and call it an alien, but there's no personality. That's why Spock works so well, because we understand what he is emotionally and what Vulcans are. So the trick really is to really think deeply about stuff. You have to have an emotional core to the story, not just the action element. That's some of it. Read good writing, watch good movies, learn from them, take them apart. That's some of it. That's
Respect your audience and have something to say.
Yeah. And and don't sweat it. Just if you're enjoying it, if it's entertaining you, that's a good starting point. And then you go from there. So great. So let's see. So Nick, I guess you're next on my screen. Go for it. Great.
Hey everyone. I've been a part of these meetings a couple times. I think this is
Great.
my 4th or 5th one. I've
Cool.
kind of been MIA for the past 2 months just because things got really, really crazy with work and holidays and whatnot.
Yeah.
Getting stranded at my parents' house
Oh, God.
because of a snowstorm and
Well,
COVID and all that, all
yeah.
that fun stuff.
It happens.
But I'm a screenwriter who just moved to LA about 3 months ago, so trying to make contacts, learn as much about the industry as possible, try to get my foot in the door any which way. Really glad I found this group because it might, you know, be the thing that leads to the next thing that
Yes.
you know, snowballs into maybe something great.
Yes.
So I actually just had a question for you guys.
Sure.
I have a friend who's an actor, and he has a contact with Sony, I believe, who's willing to like give him the camera equipment to film a pilot.
Wow.
And the actor like emailed me asking me to write the pilot, and I usually do features. And I'm like, you know, doing some research on how to you know, cram everything that you need to do in a pilot for like 25 minutes. It's like a whole different ball game from what I'm used to. And I was wondering, how important do you think a B story is in a 25-minute pilot? Can you give one, or can you just focus on like the main characters and introducing
the real question with a pilot? Now, is it a comedy? Is it? Yeah. Okay. Basically, the question with any pilot is, what is the machine that's going to drive the series? In other words, from week to week to week, what's they're called situation comedies because it's like, what's the situation? You know, with I Love Lucy, it's like, okay, she's married to a band leader and she wants to get into the show, and she has these neighbors that they talk to all the time, and it's clear. You could watch any episode of I Love Lucy and know what that show is. There's two different kinds of pilots. There's a pilot that is sort of like the origin story, and then there are pilots where you just drop people in the middle of the situation and then they just figure out what the show is. You don't have to tell the entire storyline. In other words, you don't need to have a beginning, middle, and end necessarily in a pilot. The ending should just intrigue people where they want to see more, but you do need to introduce the major characters, and you do need to introduce the world that they're in and the theme of the show. An A and a B story is not vital, but if you have characters who need to be serviced, you have to make sure that all of them are serviced so the audience gets a sense of who they are, particularly if it's an ensemble show. Now, some characters will be more central than others, but it's sort of like it should be representative of what the show intends to be. So
you really want to say, if I were watching this show, what would draw me to a point where I'd say, I've got to find out what's going to happen between these people.
Yes.
And I've got to turn in tomorrow because I like these people, and that there's a danger there or there's a longing there.
Yeah.
But the main thing is, if however many people you have, if you say you see between the characters potential conflict, potential longing, and you would want to tune in.
Oh, careful. You want some tea?
Thanks.
Yeah, a little dry, but yeah.
Next week.
Yes. Okay. So that's some of it. But study comedy shows, study shows that you really like. You know, take them apart. I mean, the thing is, just write down what happens in each scene. Look at the structure. You know, and a big issue in comedy, a huge one, is don't have characters say stuff just because it's funny. If character is what will drive a show inevitably, so it has to be true to that character. It has to be true to the emotional truth of that character.
Do you like Ted Lasso?
I've been meaning to check it out. So many people have been telling me to watch it. I've heard nothing but great things about it.
Well,
yeah,
you could watch a little of it.
It depends if you like it.
But the main thing is, it doesn't matter what anybody else likes.
Right. What's your favorite comedy show?
I'm really into The Office, Parks and Rec, and The Good Place, like all the NBC shows. I think they do a good job with the comedy.
Well,
well then do that.
So just analyze why what happens per show and what draws you.
Yes.
And then look to your own life and say, how did that fit my own truth and the people I've met and known? You know, and so basically it's like, it doesn't matter what we like or what almost anybody likes. If there are successful shows, it is important they're successful, that you really love. That's the direction for you.
Yes, and so yeah, and that's about it. I mean, and cast the characters very, very carefully, the actors, because that's gonna do a lot of the heavy lifting, you know. So anything else? Other questions?
No, that's it. Thanks so much.
3 cheers! Yay! So is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question, Adam?
Yes. Our next question is from Scott Baker.
Hi,
And
Scott.
I guess I'd better do this because he's not going to shut up about it.
Uh-oh.
But there's an interesting question here.
Sure, you bet.
Which underneath all of this, because for those of you who didn't see the email, Scott Baker is convinced that I'm the perfect person to play Dr. Demento in the new Weird Al Yankovic biopic. Frankly, I don't see the resemblance.
Yeah, and Dr. Demento has facial hair, of course. You know,
which I can grow, but
yes,
yeah.
yes. But cool.
I think the underlying question here is, you know, a lot of people outside of the industry, you know, will see someone and think, oh, they're the perfect person to play that part. Is there any way to influence your way, like where you normally wouldn't be considered for a role?
Yes.
Is there any way to influence your way to be considered?
Yes. There are examples of that. It takes enormous, well, either you have to know someone who can get the thing before the person in power, or you have to just be very, 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 very persistent. But yes, that has happened a number of times. Elijah Wood got the Lord of the Rings because they weren't even going to come to LA to consider casting,
Or America.
And he didn't have the script. He just got a coach for the accent and took some scenes from the book and put them on tape and sent it to Peter Jackson. And Peter Jackson looked at it and said, okay, well, let's go to LA and make sure he's not an asshole. And as long as we're there, we might as well have auditions for some of the other roles. And that's how they got both Sam and Frodo. So that did happen. But again, you know, it's sort of like Elijah Wood had been a kid actor. He had a little bit of name recognition that might have convinced Peter Jackson. But if you were going to try to audition for Dr. Demento, I would really try and nail the voice. He has a very specific voice, and I think that would go a long way. But you know, there's no harm in trying to make it happen. I mean, there's one way I might be able to get a tape to somebody. It's a long shot, but it's possible. Because someone I actually shot in a film that I did when I was in high school is Weird Al's drummer, and he goes by the nickname Bermuda Schwartz. His name is John Schwartz, and he's you know, he's been with Weird Al since the beginning, and you know, I'm sure that everyone is coming out of the woodwork trying to get him to do them a favor regarding that. Do you know who's going to be directing the film?
I have no idea. I just know that Scott Baker is obsessed with this and thinks I should be.
Well, there's no harm in trying.
This role.
There's no harm in trying. But I would do a little research if I were you and see if you could find out who's producing it, who's writing it, who's directing it. And I'm trying to remember. I heard who was going to play Weird Al. It was a surprise. Oh, who is it? Oh gosh.
Oh yeah. I think I saw something about this.
Yeah.
Radcliffe?
It's Daniel Radcliffe. Yes.
Daniel Radcliffe. Yeah.
Yeah, which is not my initial thought of who you would cast, but I'm sure he's going to bring a lot to it. It certainly would be a great idea to really go for it. So, but yeah, sure, try it. There's no downside. So
might as well, go do the research and see what I can do.
Yes, yes, because again, because of the economies, because of the budgets of features, often they'll hire in the subordinate roles, they'll hire lesser known, i.e. cheaper actors, you know? And so that's so you often see people having breakthrough roles in features in that way. So definitely, yeah, well, good.
First step is to actually listen to some Dr. Demento.
And make sure you listen to Dr. Demento. Make sure you listen to Dr. Demento back in the 70s or 80s, because he's old now, so his voice would be very different now than it was back then. And so, but he was a real kingmaker back then. He, if he really put his influence behind a song, particularly an odd song, it could really make someone's career. So, yeah, really fascinating. So, okay, great. So now, Carol Field, I guess you're next.
Can I put in a little documento plug?
Sure.
If you go to YouTube and you punch in the words, "Babe, I got a lobotomy just for you," you can find the video I made to commemorate, I think it was 30 years at the time.
Wow.
A song that I sent to Documento was played on the show.
Wow. With you singing? With you doing the song?
Edison and the Techno Talents.
Wow.
Okay.
That's well, I see, and you say you have nothing to fall back on, Dave. My gosh.
Like
wow.
my head.
Yeah. It's I mean, look, the only difference if you return to comedy is you won't be a stand-up, you'll be a wheel in.
Or dragging.
Yeah, exactly. So there you go. Okay, good. Well, the humor's flying, fast and furious.
But that's great. We have to look
Well,
that up.
but actually, a trivia question would be: what other Space Command luminary had a song on Dr. Demento? Does anyone know the answer other than Dave Edison?
If you don't know that, just turn in your Mr. Sci-Fi card.
Really? The answer is Bill Mumy. He had a hit song called Fish Heads, and it was one of the greats. So there you go.
Barnes and Barnes.
Barnes and Barnes. That was exactly.
About it on set.
Yes, exactly. But you should send him your lobotomy song. Absolutely, sure. That would be a great idea. So okay, great. So Carol, you're next. Go for it.
Hello, Mark and Elaine. Thank you again for hosting us.
Sure.
So nice of you.
Of
I have a
course.
list. I'm Carol Field, very available for table reads or whatever. I was in a backers audition for a play on Friday. It was really
cool.
wonderful. I played Hungarian fortune teller. Not very smart, but I can read poems.
Uh-huh.
I wilded her out. It was really great. And I told the producer and the writer that I'm not going to San Diego to be in a play unless they pay me a lot of money, like 10 equity minimums. And she said, "We'll see what we can do." I went, "Oh no, what did I just walk into?" Oh no, I know. But it was really, I was so honored to play something just over the top. It was so much fun. This is in honor of what you're talking about, electricity in costumes. And I was in My Daughter, Your Son out of New York. You made me find this. And can you see this picture?
It's a little shine. Okay, yeah.
So if you can see, there's a tassel hanging down from my sequin top. I played the British crazy girlfriend. And I'm wired all the way down my glove. So when I would do motions like this, my tassels would spin. So the weird thing is, we went to tour to all these small towns in the Midwest, and people would recognize me, even though I wore a wig. And they never said "great job" or "beautiful play" or "horrible job." They'd say, "Hey, how do the tassels spin?" And I would tell them, "I'm not telling," because it was wired. I said, "I'm not telling." They would be very disconcerted. I just wanted to tell you that because you were talking about electronics in a costume, and it made me think of that. It was just kind of funny.
That's fun.
All right, now I'm going to talk about a slice of low self-esteem. This is really wild. On Dish TV, on Dish TV, they always have 1970s movies, kind of delicious stuff. And Al Pacino, what was I love the movie. Well, one of Pacino's films was on last night, and I said, I must be an awful actress because I don't work like him. And then I thought, I don't really need to brood and put my chin down and not look at my actors and explode to be a wonderful actor, right?
No.
But I thought, I said, God, that's not my style. For a minute, I went, Seafield, you suck.
Yeah. No.
Well,
there's a very famous 12-step saying, which is compare and despair. So the whole idea is you don't compare yourself with others. And it's particularly don't compare your inside with other people's outside.
Well, outside of him, being an aggressive actor, remember, in all those years, the kind of edge men had over women, and especially men who could play tough guys. So, I mean, I thought he was great. Al Pacino was great, but he played a particular kind of character that was really popular.
And quite frankly, Carol, when I saw Dog Day Afternoon, I thought you should have been playing the lead. I think
Did you immediately
Yeah, because Pacino was just, I don't know what he was thinking. So yeah. So what? Go ahead, please. What's on your what?
Yeah. So those are my thoughts. Oh yes, and then
Great.
I had one question.
Sure.
In a horror film, so there's a difference between horror and suspense.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Very much so.
How would you define the difference?
Horror, its main goal is to scare you. Suspense, its main goal is to keep you on the edge of your seat. So it's the two forms are trying to elicit different emotions. And that's what I would say the main difference is. Suspense usually has the hero and the heroine succeed against the odds. Horror, you don't know until you get to the end what who's going to be alive, and so it's they're very different forms. They're very different forms. Suspense kind of dovetails into crime fiction, and horror doesn't. Horror has very little to do with crime fiction.
I mean, if you picture a suspenseful movie where the hero and the heroine are going along a very narrow ledge of a cliff,
Mhm.
and rocks fall, and they just barely keep saving each other. In
Yes.
a horror movie, there's a monster waiting for them, and they get one of them.
Well, I mean, it's also that both horror and suspense can often have humor in them, and the reason is because both horror and suspense deal with a building strong emotion, and moments of humor alleviate that tension and then build it up again to the next scare or the next thrill. So it's like a roller coaster in that way.
Okay, and
Yeah.
so would a superficial distinction be that in horror there has to be death or maiming? But
No.
maybe not in suspense, or that's
No.
not necessarily.
No,
Okay.
no. I mean, again, it's and frankly, I wouldn't even worry about defining something. Write the story you want to write.
It's written, but
Well, then
some
you're
people I
done.
know are looking at things are very entrenched in some sort of old classification.
Well, again, the saying I've come up with recently is "stupid people are stupid."
Fine.
I mean, it's like, it's again, if one thing I say in the Greenlighting Yourself book is, when you get critiqued, when you get, criticized, you say to yourself, does this empower or disempower me? Is there an action I can take that addresses this, or does it just leave me unable to do anything? And if it's the latter, you must disregard any advice that you're given that can't be utilized to move things forward.
Well, also do avoid generalities if you can.
Mm.
If you've written
I always do that. It's a joke.
If you've written a certain kind of film, look to the people, the producers, the actors, the directors who make films that have the same kind of tone and complexity that you have created. So really, it's a very good, important thing to research people who you feel would get your voice.
Yes.
If you
Yes.
generalize, you're going to be slapped down a lot. I have a piece called Snow Princess set in 1930, working
31.
class.
Yeah.
It's working class and communist. And
Oh,
when
that's
I
Yeah.
went out with it, my agent sent me to some very high-end people,
Mhm.
and he knew who would respond to it.
Right.
And so I had nothing but praise. Whereas when I went out with it, I knew darn well if I hadn't been guided, I would have really been slapped down for something said in the 1930s New York, communist labor, blah, blah, blah. But he sent me to the right people. So he knew how to handle that piece. So that's part of it. It's like, it's very specific. If you just throw it to the wind, you're going to have a lot of people where it's just like, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Mm.
So research, and write down anyone that you feel has potentially the ability to really get what you're doing.
Mm. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. That's great. That because Hitchcock was suspense or horror,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
You could call
Yeah.
it either.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
correct. Yes.
I'm just having a good time. I don't care anymore, but everybody else is all involved.
That's
in
great.
classifications and definitions, but I'm just having fun.
At the end, the real answer to anything is, does it entertain the audience?
Right,
There's so
right,
many things.
yeah.
There's so many stories that break so many rules, and don't worry about any of that stuff, really. Okay. Anything else?
No, that's absolutely it. And thank you
Okay.
both again for everything.
Okay.
Yay.
Yay. By the way, if in terms of, you mentioned Al Pacino, if you guys haven't ever seen Angels in America, directed by Mike Nichols, he's brilliant in that, and it's well worth seeing.
Almost everyone is.
Oh yeah, it's terrific. We love it. So okay, great. So is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question, Adam?
Yes, and after a quick look up, apparently Eric Apple,
Yes.
I don't know, is directing and co-writing with Weird Al.
Huh.
Oh, wow.
How
okay.
wacky. I don't know him.
He did Son of Zorn
Really?
on Fox. Yeah.
Well, I have no idea what that is, but okay, sure.
It was a half cartoon, half live action show.
Well, great. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, c'est la vie. Okay. So, is there a Mr. Sci-Fi question?
Yes. Let's see. The next question, we're gonna go to Rodrigo Mata.
Okay.
And he wants to know, did you fight the producers of Space Command to have practical effects over CGI most of the time, or for budget reasons did you know that it was not possible to have practical effects?
Well, we're the writer, producer, directors, so basically we drive ourselves crazy one way or another. I wrote the first 2 hours, and then Elaine and I did the polishes on all the different drafts. And it has 1,800 visual effects shots, which is insanity, and that's one of the big reasons why it's taken so long to finish. But the second 2 hour story, Forgiveness, has much more in the way of practical effects. So we've built an alien spaceship. We're building 2 8-foot-tall creatures. Much more in terms of practical effects. Both are difficult. Both are, I mean, you have to use the whole bag of tricks. It requires all of the ingenuity that you can muster, and finding talented people to be your dance partners, in every department. And I mean, for instance, when Elaine was asking if Vic could build a suit with LED lights worked in, that's because that's something we have to have in hand by next Friday. And we don't have that in hand yet, but that doesn't mean we won't. We will. Absolutely, we will, one way or another. But so you learn as you go, but the main thing is to not get stopped. That's how it works. That's the job. And and it's so much fun when millions of people see your work and like it. I mean, Space Command's been seen by over 3 million people. It's got over 97% thumbs up. That's good, and that's just on my Mr. Sci-Fi channel. And so it's lovely to not be trying to win the approval and love of executives, but instead just knowing that if I like something, generally my audience will like it too. So there you go. So, okay, cool. So next on the screen is Delton. You want to take your turn, Delton? Oh, we can't hear you. Is that, uh-oh, look out.
Oh, wait, we can't.
There you go.
Oh, there we
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
I was gonna
Good.
say, check your mic.
Oh, God.
Wow. Yeah, it's always a pleasure to be here. I always just love the energy,
Cool.
with everyone here and sharing like creative things.
Yes.
So my name is Delton, and basic educator, writer in the process of writing a animation series for kids.
Great.
And basically, I like taking kids on what I call a world percussion journey, educating kids about language and culture, and using the drum.
That's great.
As a means to have access to different countries.
Cool.
Wow.
And
that's great.
So I actually had the honor and pleasure to be on Adam's podcast.
Great.
And that was fantastic. It was really great. We got to geek out for quite a while.
That's good.
Pretty cool.
That is fun.
Really cool.
That's very fun.
His episode is coming up in 2 weeks.
Great. Cool.
And then and I always appreciate Carol, your contact was really great. And so I actually have a question. So
sure.
In the process, I'm basically just kind of like boarding out my ideas.
Sure.
At least just my own sketches.
Sure.
And what's the pros and cons of like a script driven animation versus a board driven animations? Because sometimes as I'm like drawing these different things, so like I already have the idea and everything. But when I'm drawing, I'm like, oh wow, I can see this story, but then it's like, or is it like a combination? So I'm just trying to get my groove in that.
It's an interesting question because it's been an evolution of the genre. Some of you know that I wrote animation when I was in my early 20s. So I wrote for Smurfs and He-Man and Super Friends and Real Ghostbusters and The Littles and on and on and on. I was the god of animation. That was during a period where all of the studios were doing, for television at least, what was called limited animation, which meant that the movement would be very limited. So the way it would work is it would start with the writer. You would come up with an idea, you'd type up a premise, it would get approved, you'd do an outline, then you'd go to script. Then once the script was written, then the storyboard artists would do their version of it. You know, they would storyboard your script, and then it would go from there to the actors, directors, etc. And so now it's much more director driven and storyboard driven. And so it's not as script reliant. The real answer is whatever gets it to be the highest quality you can make it. You know, visuals help a lot. Visuals help a lot.
Do. People, if you envision yourself getting script after script after script after script, and it starts to sort of blur and, you know, mutate in your head into a glob, that anything that you can make it seem like it's real and alive,
yes,
which is the visual,
yes,
can be very helpful. I mean, if you wanted to intertwine them for clarity, but yeah, more and more, we're doing like film presentations for things because people, it's like even with the best intent, they have such a massive amount of material thrown at them that the words on the page start to blur and bore. So anything you can that can make it seem real and bring it to life is of help.
Yeah. And then just, you know, I mean, again, it's a really good idea for a show. Just however you convey it, just love what you're doing. You know, the one thing you never do is write down to your audience, and I don't think you would. I always, you know, I think I've told you before, I told the table before, years back when I was writing for animation, someone once asked me, do you write for the child in the audience? And I said, no, I write for the child in myself. And so again, it was like, what would entertain me? And that worked just fine, you know. And so kids love to be surprised, entertained, informed if it's not stuffy. You know, kids are great. And you know, we've all had really bad teachers and we've all had really good teachers, and the difference is enormous. And you know, it's and the good teachers always love what they're doing, have a real ability to communicate, bring passion and enthusiasm and energy, and they talk to the kids like they're people, you know, rather than, you know, little mannequins or whatever, you know. So yeah, yes. So other questions?
Yeah, I mean, that was great. That was great because that's
cool.
The thing I'm in is like, you know, I have like the illustrations. I'm like, wow, and you know, just through the process, this helps.
Yes, yes, and then you just find people who are on your wavelength. That's the main thing, you know. But you're on a good path. You're definitely on a good path. So 3 cheers, yay! We couldn't in a minute, but is there a Mr. Sci-Fi question?
Yes, we've got a Scott Baker question.
Okay.
Unrelated to the Dr. Demento thing.
Yes, sure. Yeah.
So new on Netflix is a show called Archive 81.
Yes.
Which is a combination of occult fantasy and sci-fi.
Right.
So have you seen it? And if so, what do you think?
Just started it, so I don't really have an opinion yet. You know, but we watched section 11, you know, station 11, which we really liked ultimately, and I just posted a review of that. We watched the end of The Expanse, and I just posted a review of that on Mr. Sci-Fi. So, you know, there's stuff. So but I don't unlike most people in Hollywood, I don't have an opinion until I actually know what I'm talking about. So so that's eventually I'll get to it. But I liked Midnight Mass a lot, and that's the last horror show I watched that I really liked, and that was because it was about religion. It was it had a point, and that was
I actually wanted to cosplay as the priest from it.
Sure. You bet. So now, go ahead. Did someone have something to say?
No, that was
Okay. David Bartlett has just signed on. So David, I don't know if you're listening or if you want to take your turn, but we're.
Can you hear us,
David?
David?
I think for some reason his audio is not connected.
Ah, okay.
Oh wait, here we go.
Okay.
Now he's muted. So
okay. So if David wants to take his turn, he can, or we can continue our show that is in progress.
Yes. Can we get through to him? Or?
Oh wait, we're hearing something. What, David? Oh, you're muted still. Okay, we're not hearing you,
David.
Well,
yeah.
why don't we let's go to Bonnie, and if David resolves these issues, we can go to him. Bonnie, go for it.
Hi. Okay. Next Monday, the 24th, is the election, the general membership meeting, the first in-person general membership meeting of the Musicians Union in 2 years, because an officer vacancy is the bylaws require in-person voting. So that's been interesting for them to set that up. We'll see if there's a quorum. If there's no quorum, I'm automatically.
That's great. That's great. That's great.
Well, keeping me busy, very interesting. I realized as a composer, especially with COVID, I was just home day after day after day, and that got hard. I'm used to working at home, but it's so different when you think, well, it's kind of dangerous to go out, and yeah, it's scary because so many people. Gosh, I now know more and more people that I have not, but other people have tested positive or had COVID. Oh my gosh. But so yeah, it's great to be out and about with the others. So that's going well. And
great.
Let's see what else. I guess yeah, I mentioned a week or two ago that I think he's actually only posted, I mentioned the Mark Copage podcast, but I think so far he's only posted like a very short promo of it. I don't think he's even actually posted the full interviews yet. But anyway, and Mark, of course, I sent you some information earlier.
Yes, thank you. Thanks.
I guess that's it.
Okay.
Anyway, always good to see everybody here. So,
yes. Well, if there's no quorum and you just continue serving, just tell them that you won the electoral vote.
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That sounds great.
Yeah. Okay. Yay. 3 cheers. So another Mr. Sci-Fi question, Adam.
Yes, we have another one from Rodrigo Mata.
Hi, Rodrigo.
Who wants to know, are you excited for the adaptation of Jodorowsky's The Incal by Taika Waititi?
I don't know. I mean, again, I thought Jojo Rabbit was really terrific. I really loved that film. For me, that director is very hit and miss. A lot of the stuff he does, I don't find engaging. But you know, I'll see it and I'll form an opinion once I see it. You know, it's also, and The Incal is not one of my favorite things. I've read it. I have to reread it again. I mean, Jodorowsky's strange, definitely, but I've gotten very much into Mobius lately, so you know, we'll see. But the good thing is when a director comes aboard, a writer director comes aboard, and who's genuinely talented and genuinely passionate, it isn't just a gig. There's no cynicism, and so I wish him well, and I wish the project well. You know, we'll see. We'll find out. So let's see. So Mark Agushwich, you're next.
Hello. Okay, so I've basically been spending most of my day today trying to export this Ian McCaig special feature Blu-ray video for you guys.
Cool.
But for some reason, my computer won't export it in a high enough resolution that your Blu-ray person wants, and I can't figure it out.
Wow.
So we're working on that, but don't worry, I'll figure it out. I always do. But I've been spending, and then Dave just sent, for people who don't know, for Space Command, there's going to be a Blu-ray, and we're putting together the special features. And Dave Edison just sent me over 7 hours of online panel for me to go through.
Cool.
For your So that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, speed through it, you know.
Well, I'm going to look for the people that obviously were involved in the first 2 episodes, and
yes,
we don't have anything of already, like Ian McCain. We don't have him on any Comic-Con panel.
The only panel that Ian did was the first panel at Comic-Con. That's the only one he did.
Well, then I don't have that one.
That's 20. That's that's 2012.
So I'm working on that. I also
Cool.
I got your new intros. I started working cleaning those up, as well as some of the others. I've been kind of like switching from bonus feature to bonus feature, because I'm still waiting for some B-roll from you that hopefully you'll get.
Great.
When you reached out to those 2 people.
Oh yes. Thank you for reminding me. I have to do that again.
Yeah, and then trying to get my review website back on track. As soon as I'm done here, I'm going to continue trying to finish off the latest review. So hopefully I can get this thing up and running again. And other than that, not much else kind of going on except for, if there's any Premiere Pro gurus who literally know everything about Premiere, let me know, because maybe they can answer this question about why I'm setting the exports a certain way and they're not coming out this way.
Huh. Wow.
Not used to exporting stuff at this quality in MP4s. Because generally everything I export goes to either the web or something like that. So, or I'm doing a different kind of file than what your Blu-ray guy's asking for. But if anybody knows anybody, I appreciate some help.
Okay.
I asked Dave Edison, he didn't have an answer for me. So,
yes. Okay.
It might be a situation where I'd actually have to see the settings.
Yes.
Yeah, I also think that it could be because some of the stuff that I'm being handed is rather low quality, and so if the data rate is starting low, it's having a hard time up-resing it to a higher data rate.
We don't use that term around Space Command.
No.
I'm not saying we don't do low quality. I'm just saying we don't use the term.
Oh, Jesus, Dave. Yeah, well, God.
When I look at the video quality, it looks great.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe I'll reach out to the Blu-ray guy and see if there's an issue.
Right.
I can't figure it out.
Exactly. So great. Well, 3 cheers, Marco Gajewicz. Hey. So is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question?
Yes. Let me see. Just make sure. Yeah. Okay. Question from Scott Gamble.
Great.
What is that bronze statuette on the table next to Elaine?
That
the figure
is
with the hand on the hip.
That's the Whistling Boy. We years ago, Elaine and I went to Brimfield, which was a wonderful open air swap meet that happens a couple times a year, or did before the pandemic, on the East Coast, and it was terrific. And that's a statue from the turn of the century. It's made of what's called pot metal, and it's a whistling boy. I don't know if you want to grab it, or I'll grab it and bring it closer.
It used to be very in homes. They love to have these kind of statues.
Yeah.
The rich would have, from the same mold, they would have those things in bronze.
Yes.
But the middle class wanted them as well.
Yeah. So this is the Whistling Boy. It's a really delightful piece of work. We loved it. Really liked it,
and so
we bought it.
Pot metal, which means bits and pieces of all kinds of metal put together. So it's considered very cheap because it was all kinds of tads and ends.
Yes.
And so that was because we got. But for me, I really preferred the pot metal because it had so much more variety and life than And it was also considerably cheaper. But yes, I really fell in love with the Whistling Boy, and we drove it across country, even though it's a tad heavy.
It's a cool thing.
Yes, it's one of our cool things.
Cool thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
But thank you for asking.
Yeah, you bet. Great. Okay, cool. So who's next on the screen? Let me go look. Oh, doggies. There we go. Okay, great. So
I think, Charles.
Charles, yeah, go for it, Charles.
Hi, Charles.
Hey, this is my first time checking this out, so I'm still looking up what Mr. Sci-Fi is and everything.
Yeah, me too.
Do you want me to ask you a question, even if it's not necessarily what you guys?
Sure, go for it.
So
Sure.
my friends and I are talking about doing a GoFundMe in the near future, maybe in
Yes.
the next month or so, for
Yes.
a feature film to try and raise money for a movie.
Great.
And it does have a little bit of a sci-fi storyline, but it's not like Space Command. It's like a different thing.
Sure.
It's like a mockumentary.
Okay.
And we were talking about one of the guys brought up an interesting idea of maybe before we start the GoFundMe to get an actor who is willing to agree to do a cameo, like maybe an actor from Star Trek or Babylon 5 or something like that.
Yes.
And they were wondering if you had any recommendations on somebody we could reach out to about something like that.
Well, okay, here we go. A couple things. We're doing a simulcast with Mr. Sci-Fi, which is my YouTube channel, but the table, which is this aspect, is not solely science fiction or anything like that. It's about anything relating to film, TV, books, music, art. It's basically to provide people whatever they need in terms of support, advice, etc. And it's free, and it's gone for 29 years, and there's thousands of members. And Adam can hook you up with the email aspect of this. To answer your question, one thing I would strongly suggest is study other campaigns that have succeeded and see why they have succeeded. And I've raised about I've raised over $1 million from crowdfunding, and you have to sort of know who your audience is. You have to have credibility with that audience. You have to, in terms of attaching actors, it's very difficult if you don't know them. Because like, why should they attach to your thing? Science fiction conventions are terrific because the actors attend those conventions. Science fiction conventions are starting to happen again, but like, for instance, if you wanted like Patrick Stewart or something, that would be really, really, really difficult. But if but a lot of the Star Trek actors or the Babylon 5 actors, they've got websites, so you might just kind of Google track down their websites and reach them, because either they're checking the emails that come into their websites, or their right-hand person is. If there's obviously personal contact is a much better idea, because, and I often spend years building relationship before I ever ask someone to do something for me. But once they're friends and once I know them, then it's very easy to cast them. But that's not to say not to try. Is there a specific actor you'd like?
We're not sure like who actually. It's just something that we just started talking about this week,
right?
And so we haven't really figured that out yet.
Yes. Are you a fan of Star Trek or Babylon 5?
Oh yeah, I've got Star Trek on DVD.
Oh, that's nice.
I was telling one of the guys, I know we'd never be able to get him, but I was telling one of the guys it would be nice to get Michael Dorn,
well,
who plays Worf.
Again,
but I don't think he would do it, but maybe there's somebody else that
well,
would.
You can try to reach out to the people, but you have to figure out what's in it for them. See, one problem, of course, is if the campaign fails, then that doesn't look good for them, because it means that they don't have cachet, and that can be harmful to them. So again, but again, reaching out to Michael Dorn, there's no downside.
But it is, if you want a chance at getting them, think of several things. One is, if you're passionate to a degree where they are sure it will actually happen,
yes,
and you won't be burning their time, and you're clear of the audience you're trying to draw and why that audience would put their money in to make sure that it actually existed. So your passion would be important. Shooting something would be important, so that they saw that what you were creating, or whoever was going to be directing them, was going to create something really interesting, really good. It would not look really cheesy, even though it's a mockumentary. That it would look good, and that it be well written, and also that it be something that they would normally never have a chance to do. One way in which very strong B-level actors, because of the marketplace, not because of their talents, are lured into lower cost movies, is they're given an A-level role, something they would normally never get, but was super interesting and something in which they could do very well. But simply because of their marketplace value, they wouldn't have a chance to do it in in a studio film.
Yeah.
So part of it is to say, I just want somebody to help sell my thing is one thing, but then sit down and really say what would be in it for them.
Yes.
And how,
and what legitimizes you.
Yes.
That's the other part. It's like I don't know if you know anything about our careers, but I've written for Star Trek: The Next Generation and Deep Space Nine and Babylon 5 and on, hundreds of hours of network TV. So so when I approach an actor, they know my body of work, and that helps.
But if you don't, then at least shoot something and show that you're doing something that's
Yes.
really clever and
right
ought to exist. And I love mockumentaries, but just show good ones.
Yeah.
But to say, well, this ought to exist. This would be a fun ride. One way or another, we're going to get it done.
Yeah. I mean, it's again, you play, you just you do what you can do. I mean, and but there's no harm in reaching out to people. There's no harm in trying. And and you just have to think about, okay, why would someone want to do this? Why would they want to be in this? And it's a lot of the Star Trek actors and the Babylon 5 actors, they're not utilized well. They aren't given good roles often, and they're actors. They want to do good work.
And whenever we're pitching a project, we have multiple pitches. If we're pitching to a director, we're talking about the visuals. If we're pitching to an actor, we're talking about the story from their point of view. The reason that we're doing that isn't because we're trying to make it like it's all about them, but we're trying to say, here it is from your point of view, given that this would be your job. If your job is to direct, this is what you have, this is kind of visuals you would be doing. And emotional turns. If it's the actor, it's not that they're not interested in story or the quality of the film, but the primary thing you have to tell them is, this is the character you would be playing. This is what we want you to bring to life. So it's very important to have multiple pitches, given what job you're expecting someone to do, so they know really specifically what you're asking, what your request is from them.
Yeah. Where are you based?
Like North Hollywood, Los Angeles.
Oh, so yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, I mean, but I promise you that a lot of the actors you're trying to target will have websites, and that's where I would start, and if they say contact my agent, usually they want to know the money offer, and that's not what you want. So
or they want you to like them because actors like to be liked.
And so they'll pretend to be enthusiastic.
And the agent will say no.
Yeah. So, any other questions?
I will say, from the crowdfunding end, my advice, I know you're using GoFundMe, but if you do end up going to Kickstarter or Indiegogo, where there's like perks and stuff, price the perks like a PBS drive, not like a store.
Yes,
because you're raising money for the movie. You're not raising money to buy these whatever these little like DVDs or whatever.
Though there has to be value given. So in other words, you can't say, oh well, you get a DVD for $1,000. That won't. Oh, sorry, someone's calling me.
So there's a balance. You need to, it needs to
be.
There needs to be small enough to get people to come in to chip in, but you need to make money. There needs to be a big enough margin to where you're not spending $11 to give them something for a $10 contribution.
Yeah. So great. So anything else?
Now that you mentioned that, Adam, what do you have a preference as to which is better, Indiegogo, GoFundMe, or Kickstarter, or a different one?
Well, we've made all our money on Kickstarter. So.
Kickstarter's all or nothing, and so that makes it higher stress. But it tends to make it a horse race where people will pledge because they want you to succeed.
Exactly.
But I know people who've succeeded on all of them. There's also another one called, oh God, what's the name of it? Seed and Spark. Seed and Spark is they're primarily
it's very what is it called? Subscriber oriented.
But again, just study what works, and it's good. And even if you do a campaign and it doesn't succeed, you learn from it, and so it's worth doing. So anything else, Charles? Nope. Yay! Welcome. 3 cheers. Excellent. Is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question, Adam?
I was also stalling so we could see if we could get another question, but I think we are caught up.
Oh no
questions.
Okay. So so Elaine, is there any question you want to ask me?
No, let's move on.
Okay, well I'll take the dogs down. You can keep going.
No, I can take
No,
it.
I'll do it. It's fine.
Okay, so next in line is
Sydney, I think.
Sydney. Hi, Sydney.
I am muted, but I'm unmuted. I just want to report that we're moving along very smoothly. We started shooting our film, The Faithful Brethren of Pitt Street, 2 weeks from tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
We have a few loose ends that we need to tie together. And I was hoping that Nick would still be on so that I could suggest to follow up on.
Come on, Eve. Come on.
There are 2 shows that were very popular in their day. My wife and I have kind of different tastes as far as humor. She loved Friends, and I loved 2.5 Men. And I would have suggested to Nick that he take a look at the reruns. They're very easily obtained, and only because of their great successes at the time that they were on the air, but in their reruns, they seem to be valid, relevant to this day. So he could have maybe have gotten some good points from them. Anyway, I'm done. I just wanted to again say that we're moving along, and I'd like to keep you folks posted on as we progress, and we hope for the best.
Well, congratulations. Good for you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for, I'll tell you, Paul isn't here today, but I had a nice conversation with Paul Lawton just yesterday. And he is just an extremely helpful man. It seems everybody on this table is just looking to be as useful as they can to anybody who needs any kind of assistance. And I see Adam nodding his head, and it's true. And Carol, it's been a very nice experience for me sharing my experience with my film. Thank you all.
Yay! Thanks. Okay, we'll if there are more sci-fi questions, Mark has just taken our little monsters down for a quick walk. So we'll continue along here and get back to
with your new haircut. Can we start referring to them as Rosemary's Babies?
You may, yes, you may, yes. But at least when I wake up in the morning, instead of it taking me 5 minutes to do my hair, it will take me like 35 seconds, which is no end of pleasure for me. So. So okay.
Excuse me, I have to leave, and I don't mean to be rude, but thank you again.
Well, thank you.
Good night. See you next time.
Okay, thanks for joining us. Okay, is it Brian next?
Hey, Brian Hassick, filmmaker, writer, storyboard artist, and plenty of other things. Those are my focuses now. Mark, I just sent you a thing. I might be able to easily answer your question about the formats, because I used to work with those people all the time, and they respond fast. So there's that, and then also my only thing this week I've been doing creatively anyway is with Mark. We had a little talk, worked out a big block in the script, and now we just have one more before I can finish the outline and start writing.
Wow, so, that's great.
Just trying to make more regular appearances at the meetings and keep myself with creative people and in creative mind. So thanks.
That's great. Is there any questions, anything you need?
Not at this point.
Okay, well, but again, that's very exciting to hear that it's moving along. So yay. Okay. So
I have a question for you, Elaine.
Yes.
From Bruce Moore.
Okay.
He wants to know, how do you break or outline a story in the beginning of the writing process?
Well, one of the first, there are many different ways in which a story can be broken or outlined. And so I can only give you my process because my process is just my process. But the first thing that I start with is something that I feel is a critical issue for me and a lot of other people. Like one of my movies is about comfort and the fact that we live in a society where we have trouble giving it, we have trouble receiving it, we have trouble asking for it, you know. So I thought about that, and then I started to laundry list characters of people where I knew that for want of comfort, their shoelaces were tied together for want of that. And so I took a long time just thinking through the theme and how it played out with different kinds of people in the world. And from there, once I had that, I started to build it, you know. So some people just can go lateral, boom, 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 boom. Some people create a lot of scenes and moments, such as myself, first, and then start to think of what would be the build and take it through to the end. You're juggling several different things. You're juggling character arcs. You're making sure that your drama builds and builds and builds. And so and then the final thing is you're sure that the theme is consistent and builds throughout your piece. So your theme could be don't rely on other people, be an independent. Or your theme should be life is nothing without other people. But you don't want to throw both things in at once. You know, if you have a case emotionally for one or the other, then you play that out and you don't have people, you know, zig and zag just to throw everything at the screen. You say, well, what is it that I really want to explore? So now Mark usually starts with a really good idea and creates piece by piece, he creates more and more drama. And then the main thing is you don't stop yourself. If you find a scene that you know you need, but it just doesn't come together, then you write a bad scene and you just write MB next to it, which is make better, and you continue on. So you don't get hung up polishing and repolishing something, a scene that you may drop in the end. You know, you just say MB and you continue along. I find that my real outline comes in the second or third draft when I've actually really clarified what is going on. And I don't have that in a certain piece called Snow Princess, which was, again, the piece set in 1931, there's a mystery element. And I don't have a mystery mind. And so I created a very good mystery over a period of 2 weeks, which I knew someone with a mystery mind could have done in 20 minutes, which made me crazy. But that was my limitation. And so I took the 2 weeks to make sure that the who done it, why they did it, why suspicion would shift and shift and shift was extremely clear before I inserted it. So part of it is to just make sure you have the build and the logic and the emotional truth. But some people can just build it like building blocks, but that's just my process. My process is much slower. So, you know, it's really just sticking to the characters and the moments that I've seen that I really want to move upon and say for comfort, what stops people and what keeps people from getting the comfort they seek, all the different things. So anyway, back to back to our screen. Is it Michelle? Michelle, yeah. Hi. I guess it's you, Michelle.
Hello.
Hello.
I don't have anything useful to say. I've had a very slow week. Nothing exciting is happening. Actually, nothing is happening.
Oh, really?
I'm stalled.
Okay, so you're stalled right now?
I guess,
is
for
there,
lack of anything else, I don't seem to be getting anything off the ground right at the moment. I think I'm in some sort of an odd lull here, and waiting for the apathy to pass.
oh, well, is there something that you, if you weren't apathetic, that you could be doing that would start you up again? Because this is an easy thing to slip into, as you know.
I'm not sure what's going on actually. Probably what I need to do is get some new pictures done and bring them to the new agent and see if that kicks them a little bit into some sort of action. But nothing much seems to be happening, and I'm not getting any calls for background stuff, which is interesting because there's a group called something like LA Union Background Actors, and everybody seems to be complaining that nothing's happening. So I get the impression that things have slowed up on account of Omicron.
Yeah, it does seem that way. But just have you ever worked with an action partner?
With a what?
An action partner?
I don't know what that is, except the guy that I used to do lifts with in ballet.
Oh, well, the problem with this industry is it can wear you down. And it can wear a lot of very talented people down because it's like you're constantly pushing the rock up the hill on your own, or it tends to feel like that. So we get tired and then we just sort of go flat level. So an action partner is someone else who is not a dilettante, someone you know who does have dreams but has gotten a little weary as well. And an action partner is where you have brief conversations at an agreed upon time every day of saying, what could you be doing? What can you be doing? Well, I could make these 3 calls, but I'm not in the mood. Well, I'm going to call you at 5 o'clock and I'm going to make myself scarier than those three calls. And so you're going to make those 3 calls. Okay. And you say, well, what can you do to your action partner? And you say what the dream is, what you'd like to be doing. And then you start to brainstorm and how that can happen, or possible ways in which that can happen, to bring the energy back up where you're going to be doing several different things. But especially locked in our Omicron apartments, it's very easy to go into drift, into depression, into flatlining and letting too much time pass. But I mean, the only reason we go 3 times a week to the gym is because we pay somebody, a personal trainer, to meet us there. If it weren't for that, we would be just snoozing the morning away. So we know some ways we're good and self-motivating, and some ways we sort of stink at it. We're just not that good. And so wherever we tend to go into drift, where it's important not to go into drift, we try and create a superstructure of other people to whom we need to be responsible.
I don't mean to sound like I'm sitting on my backside doing nothing. One of the things I'm doing right now is I am once again on the search for somebody to rent the 2nd bedroom and bath in my apartment. And the person I had was wonderful, but he has moved on to a place that has a swimming pool and a gym and 2 young ladies he's sharing the space with, which may have something to do with it. I also spent a day reorganizing a storage space that I have, which needed seriously to be doing that. And I spent a major part of the day shredding paper, which is actually extremely rewarding. And the less paper you have in your life, the better. So that's going on. And I am, as always, going to ballet class a couple of times a week and dragging the bones into class like I'm supposed to.
Good for you.
And, I'm not just sitting here vegetating. I didn't mean to sound that way. As far as what you described as an action partner, if I knew anybody that was suitable for that I thought would go along with me on it, I would be happy to do it. I quite frankly do not know anybody who would be appropriate for that
at this time. Okay. But
most of the people most of the people I know in the business right at this point are actually pretty much people that I know through the table.
Oh, okay.
And, everybody seems like they're more active than I am right at the moment. That I may just be in a lull and allowing that for a little while. This too shall pass.
Well, you could go that way for a while, but I guarantee you that everybody who seems to be doing well, that it's just hard for everybody. It's generally hard for everybody unless somehow you're in the midst of having to have a deadline. It's hard, and you're a dancer, actor, and if you feel that it goes on too long, you could just put the word out at the table and say, looking for somebody who is motivated but is going into a bit of drift to share ideas with on a regular basis, an action partner. And
okay.
And so,
well, I will certainly consider it. It sounds like a good idea, and we'll see what's out there.
Well, that's great. I mean, Mark's got action partners for a number of things that he has challenges with, as well as we both have this gym guy, and I rely on a few people to keep me going, to keep me up. Whenever I feel that I'm kind of slowing down too much, I'll pick up the phone and call some specific people, and we just sort of encourage the hell out of each other. So, saying, "Oh, it's so important what you're doing," and stuff like that, and so it sort of lifts the spirit.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, I will. As I say, if this drags on terribly long or much longer than it is, then I will, put the word out to the table and see if some fool will grab me by the collar and drag me along.
Okay, that's great. Okay, but thanks for joining us anyway. Good for you. Good for you. Okay, so we have Mr. Sci-Fi back, Adam. He just came back with the dogs.
Yeah.
And I have a question.
Sure, you bet.
Okay.
Another Rodrigo Mata question.
Well, those are the best.
He wants to know, what do you find in sci-fi that you don't find in fantasy in terms of things that you like to explore in one genre you can't explore in the other?
Fantasy is something that will never happen. Science fiction postulates things that might happen, technological advances, etc. I just always like science fiction better than fantasy, and I particularly don't resonate to like sword and sorcery kind of fantasy. There are a few fantasy novels that I very much like. But Jonathan Norrell and Mr. Strange, Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. That's a great one. It won the Hugo for best novel. It's just I've always liked science fiction. And remember, I grew up during the space race, during the man landing on the moon, and so all of it. So reality and science fiction were impinging upon each other very closely, and regularly. Arthur C. Clarke or Ray Bradbury were being interviewed about the space race and the moon landing and the Mars probes and all that stuff. So it was very exciting. It was really a great age of exploration and achievement. So it was very romantic in the way adventure is romantic, and it really spoke to me. So there we go. So let's see. So now we're Ben and Emily Clark.
Yes.
Are you guys there? Ben and Emily? Ah.
Sorry. Hello, everybody. How
Hi.
are you?
Hi, guys. Hi.
Hi. It was so good to see Bonnie tonight.
Yeah.
Miss with her new position there.
Yes.
But I'm happy for her, and I hope that things work out, with that.
Yes.
She's such a tremendous musician, and I love working with her. A little later down the road, when she get a little more time, we'll go ahead and finish something else.
Cool.
But there's a studio in Alabama that I'm working on. They got a lot of good stuff going on. I'll tell you guys all about the same stuff me and Bonnie started. We're gonna finish it down there.
Great.
But Bonnie was still. Now I can't mention her now because of her position, but she knows in her heart.
Yes.
I appreciate all the contributions she gave me.
Yes. Well, it's terrific that she's in that honeymoon phase before she goes completely power mad. So now
She's
go
been
ahead.
around the block and I know once she gets settled in, she's going to be a tremendous help to the rest of the staff.
Yes.
I haven't been a member of the union in many years, but since she's there, I think I better go join.
Yes, yes. And remember that anytime you're in Los Angeles, if you really want to get in good with Bonnie, you have to stay at Janowski Tower. And, you know, so there is that.
Thanks for that tip.
Yeah. It's, there's ways. Yeah. So anything else you guys need? Anything else for now, Ben and Emily?
No, that's about it. We got a couple of irons in the fire that we haven't developed to the point yet that we can talk about them
Okay.
on a different day.
Okay.
Well, when we're not there, let me tell you, we're there in spirit, okay?
Great.
Always.
Well, thank you.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
And it's always great to hear from you too. So 3 cheers. Yay. 3 cheers. So, Adam, is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question?
Yes, and also for Michelle Hart, Scott Baker says that the answer to any period of apathy is either more or less bacon. So
yes,
the
true.
recommendation is to eat more or less bacon and see which works.
Yes,
But,
yes. More, I would say.
Question,
Yeah.
Bruce Moore.
Add to that I am an aficionada of bacon and peanut butter sandwiches. They are a great fight in the world and horribly fattening and would probably make your cardiologist upset, but nevertheless.
Yeah, yes. So great. So Adam,
Right,
other
So the question, yes, is from Bruce Moore.
Great. Hi, Bruce.
And wants to know when the green lighting. Oh, so I guess it's for Elaine when your green lighting book is coming out.
Yeah, well, that's I guess what I'm the writer primarily of that book. There is an acting exercise that Elaine contributed. The greenlighting book is coming out as soon as my publisher can get a hold of paper. They're having a supply chain difficulty, but it'll definitely be out this year. So you know, keep an eye out. You might want to go on Amazon. It might be able to be pre-ordered. But I'm thrilled to be done writing it. It's lovely to, you know, have gotten it all down on paper. So I think it'll be very helpful to a lot of people. So
I thought it was yours. I just I was confused.
Well, at one point, Elaine and I were going to co-write it, but we both kind of had a lot of trouble getting the book started because we had so many syllabi from so many different classes we had taught.
We had too much
we were getting all kind of plugged up and false starts. And finally I said, look, let me just take a run at this thing. And it worked. And so Elaine was busy with a lot of her projects as well. And I thought, well, Jesus, I can make this work. I can do this. And so I did. And it worked out fine. So, but obviously many of the lessons that we talk about, many of the insights come from Elaine to begin with. And, you know, we're sort of, you know, one creature with two heads. So, okay, great. So I guess it's now your turn, Elaine. Go for it.
Okay.
Go for it, Elaine.
Well, we're prepping thanks to the help of all of our Space Command helpers. We're prepping to shoot a framing story, and you know, in our limited space, and that's going along very well. We're still seeking out people. We don't quite have a full staff, but we're, you know, everything is being built, and we've got our actors enthusiastic, and Adam is saving us with the people to whom we have roles. And so there's many people working away over the next week to shoot the piece. So that's keeping us busy. And I wanted to give Mark something else to do. So his current assignment is to get used to my haircut, which he's not used to yet.
No, it's getting there. It's getting there.
And I guess that's it for me for now. Yes.
Okay. Yay, Elaine. So is there a final Mr. Sci-Fi question, Adam?
Yes, I think this will make a good one. From Scott Baker.
Great.
What might the new Webb telescope reveal that could be useful for Space Command story elements?
Well, I mean, I'm thrilled about the new telescope. It's a shame that we no longer have space shuttles that can service these space telescopes. You know, if something goes awry, there's really no way to deal with it effectively. But so far, so good. It's deployed and all that stuff. I mean, the more we learn about the universe, the more amazing and wondrous and mysterious it becomes. You know, it's a series of mysteries that open and open and open. The more you know, it seems like the less you know. which is very, very cool. So I think it's going to be great. I mean, the Hubble did a tremendous amount to open up the universe, and now the James Webb Telescope will do even more. So I'll just ardently be following it, and everything is grist for the mill one way or another. So yeah. So okay. So now it's
NASA bought the extended warranty.
yes, they did, and yeah, exactly. So
the thing that's great about those guys is that they're so happy when they discover what they were wrong about.
yes, in terms of the discoveries,
yes,
not like, oh my God, we screwed up this.
But in
this
terms of discoveries,
yeah.
saying we thought it was this simple thing,
Guys,
and now it's a whole bunch of, it's much more complicated and mysterious than we ever dreamed. And they're terribly happy. They're never defensive. They're just saying we were wrong. Look how much more complicated it is, and look at all the surprises we have. And they're always just really jazzed about it. So it seems like a great science.
Yeah. Yes. So now it's Me, Wonderful Me. So so we've talked about a lot of the things we're up to, but we're going to be shooting Space Command and ramping up, and it's very exciting. And the set is coming together, and it looks really good. And and over the last few years, I've been buying up pieces from Cloverfield Paradox and Ender's Game and the movie Passengers and Falling Skies and on and on and on, and all these spacesuits that are just some of the ones I've acquired, and as well as the stuff we're building and designing, fresh. And it's coming along great. I can't wait to roll camera. It's going to be very, very fun. And if this goes well, and I assume it will, then we're going to be shooting on a very regular basis and covering some major ground. So I think 2022 is going to be a great year for Space Command. And also we're ramping up to shoot the other 5 pilots of the Showrunners Network with my various partners. So watch this space, tell your friends to subscribe to Mr. Sci-Fi, all of that. Tell your friends about the table. And that's sort of it for me right now. I mean, life is good, no complaints. And thank you all for the wonderful life that you help us live. And so anything else for now, guys? I think we've covered it. And and in the days to come, we'll see when we're able to resume the in-person meetings. That will be someday, but we'll find out soon. But thanks everyone for being here. We'll see you next Thursday, same time, same station. And
the one thing that we just got from the Station 11,
yes,
that we just saw was a
on
wonderful
HBO
theme.
Yeah,
which was you can't do it alone.
No,
don't let yourself be alone. And that was a great theme.
It's a really good show. You have to kind of grit your teeth through the first 2 episodes. It's a little slow to get going, but then it's a really good show. And that's about it for now. So
yeah, a change, I think, to the future things. What I'm gonna do, which I probably should have done from the get-go, is starting next week, there will be one link that will be for every Zoom table meeting forward.
Great.
So it
great.
won't be a new link every week.
Great.
I will
That's great.
put out an email every week, but yeah.
That's great.
I'll
That's
send
great.
out an email with it. I'm gonna set that up.
And also, I think each week we'll all of us can suggest yet another role for Adam to play. Dr. Demento was good this year. I think Grover Cleveland might be a really good idea. There's tons. There's tons.
The Wayne Knight documentary when that comes.
Yeah, the Cary Grant biopic. Yes, absolutely.
How about 00 Santa Claus?
00 Santa Claus. Yeah. Night of the Living Santa. So, okay, great. Well, on that note, we'll see you next time, guys. Thanks a lot. Take care.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Bye, guys. Good seeing you. Take care. Stay safe.